Hey coaches, this video we're going to talk about defensive fronts. Okay, and when I say defensive fronts, it's basically what technique the defensive linemen are in. Now this is an over front. Okay, we're going to do it out of a four-man front or 4-3 defense here. Now over tells the defensive lineman that you're going to put the three technique to the strength of the formation. So basically, the tight end's here. You got a three-man surface. The strength of the formation's here. So you're going to put three technique to the strength, and you're going to put the one technique to the weak side. Okay, so basically, sometimes when you with over fronts, they'll put the end in a 9, or they'll have him head up as on a 6. Okay, it really depends, but essentially this is what you're looking at here. An over front means you're putting the 3 technique to the strength and the 1 technique away. So that's out of a 4-man front. Let's do an over front out of a 3-man front. Okay, it's essentially the same thing. The only difference is, this is out of 4-3. This is out of a 3-4. It's the only difference is really the player types. 3-4, there's 4 linebackers, only 3 D linemen, whereas in the 4-3, there's 4 D linemen, only 3 linebackers. So essentially, nothing changes. It's just personnel grouping. All right, so this is out of a 3-man front. Okay, 3 defensive linemen. So we got an overcall. You're putting a 3 technique to the strength. Got 3-man surface here. Basically, you're putting them to the tight end side. Okay, and then you got the 1 away. You're going to get a 5 here to the weak side too. Then you're going to get a 6 or a 9. Okay. So that's basically the over front. You're basically putting your 3 technique. You're shifting your lineman basically over to the strength. All right. So that's the over front. Under front. Now, the 3 technique is going to go to the weak side. Okay. And the 1 technique is going to go to the strength, to the 3-man surface side, 2-man surface side here. So in an under front, you're going to put the 3 technique to the weak side of the formation, and then you get a 1, and then you'll get a 5 to the back side of the under. Okay, the opposite side of the under. Okay, so basically, you're going to put the 3 technique to the weak side. Over front, 3 tech to the strength. Under front, 3 techs to the weak side of the formation. Okay, so that's the under front. Under 3-man front, nothing changes here. You can see we got the 3 technique to the weak side, the 1 to the strength, and we got a 5 technique here. We got kind of somewhat of an overhang or an outside 9 here. Okay, so that's the over and under front. Let's go to the bear front. Let's move me out of the way. Okay, guys, essentially the bear front, for me, I know there's different variations, but for me, the bear front, when our center and 2 guards are covered, we consider that a bear front. So anytime the center is covered and both guards are covered, that's a bear front, at least for us. And then they'll roll down a linebacker or put in another defensive lineman, and they'll put him in a 5. Okay, so basically, you have your center and 2 guards covered. Essentially, that's a bear front. You'll get your two your one end in a 5. You'll get this kid in a 5 too, and then you'll put your Sam right at the edge of the tight end. So a lot of times in the bear front, you'll have, well, every time you'll have the center, both guards covered. You'll have a 5 technique to both sides, and then you'll have a stand up Sam backer who's going to the strength. In this formation, 3-man surface here. Here's the tight end, the Y. He's going to go to the strength side, and he'll be an edge player. Okay, so that's essentially the bear front. Oki front, for me, we see a lot of Oki front. Okay, I have this out of the 3-4 defense, but again, the only thing that matters is focusing here. So on an Oki front, basically, you're going to get a 0 and 2-4 techniques. Sometimes there'll maybe be a 4-eye or 5s, but a lot of times the guards aren't covered. Okay, and then they'll have a 0. They'll have a nose head up on the center. So basically, 2 tackles are covered and the center's covered. In my opinion, that's the Oki front. When you have your Mike and your Will. I got 2 Wills drawn up here. Let's make this kid an outside linebacker. Sorry. All right. So you'll have your Mike and your Will kind of inside the tackles as well, kind of covering that gap, basically almost over the guard. So for me, that's the Oki front. Okay, there's much more, people that run it more in depth and different variations. But for me, this is what I consider the Oki front. All right, and then here's a very common youth football defensive front. Okay, we call this an even front, basically, which means you're gonna get 2 5 techs, and then the guards are covered. So anytime you see the guards covered, it's essentially an even front. Okay, so guards are covered here. They're head up on the guards. Linebackers are probably a little bit wider here. Sorry, but yeah, you got the guards covered. You got 2 5s. For us, that's an even front. Okay, guys, here's the odd front. And it's also the stacked front as well. Okay, we consider this an odd front because the guards aren't covered. You're gonna have a 0, 2 4s, and then you're gonna have linebackers stacked here. For us, this is a odd front. Okay, guards are not covered. It's odd. Guards are covered. It's an even front. Now, what makes this a stack look too is that your outside linebacker stacked over the end, your Mike linebacker stacked over your nose, your left outside linebacker stacked over the end. You got your Sam, there's an edge player out here, and a Will out here. Okay, so I mean, if it was a 4-4 stack, nothing would change. Let's draw that up real quick while we're here. So if you get a 4-4 stack, look, pretend this is another D lineman. Okay, they would just stack the linebackers behind. Okay, so basically, is your linebackers are stacked behind your defensive linemen. That's a stack front, in our opinion. Well, guys, it was a shorter video. I hope that helped. Very simple. Got an over front, you got an under front, got a bare front, Oki front, even and odd fronts, and then stack fronts. That's basically the most common defenses, not just in youth football, on all levels of football. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys soon.